Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome back. 19 after 9 o'clock. News and views right here on Salam Media. And I am very pleased to have Action SA leader Herman Mashaba on the show this morning. A very good morning to you. Welcome to the program and thank you for your time. Now,
Thank you so.
you
No,
have,
thank you so much, Julian. Good morning to the listeners.
thank you. You have urged President Cyril Ramaphosa to use his trip to the UAE to negotiate the extradition of the Gupta brothers. We know that he touched down at the Al Maktoum airport in the UAE on Sunday, and obviously he led the celebration of South Africa Day at the Dubai Expo 2020 that was yesterday. He will obviously be spending a little more time in talks with leaders in that country and leaders from other countries. Do you think that he will touch on this very crucial issue?
Well, Julian and the listeners, let's actually look at the looting, the heist that the Gupta family inflicted on South Africa. Even if the president can spend a month discussing issues regarding this expo, in terms of the financial implications compared to actually arranging the extradition of the Gupta family and recover the money stolen, that would really make his trip actually worthwhile for South Africans. Yes, and I'm not for 1 minute undermining the importance of us featuring at the expo, but I think let's really look at the cent by cent or pound by pound. I think it's important to South Africa is to recover the billions of money that the Guptas have stolen under the ANC watch.
Okay, so we do understand that South Africa and the UAE are signatories to Article 44 of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, and South Africa ratified the convention in 2004, which means that we do have a good footing, hopefully, if these talks do materialize, that there is a possibility that these crooks can be extradited back to South Africa to stand trial and to pay back the money. Apart from the Guptas, we also know that there are South African citizens who were in collusion with the Guptas who have also fled the country. Obviously, the Guptas are brought to book in South Africa. There's a very strong possibility that we can get those people back to the country, those South African expats, to come and face the music as well.
Absolutely, I think you could not have captured it better because obviously my communication was actually direct at the Guptas because obviously they inflicted the biggest damage. But as you are rightfully saying, there's a number of South Africans working with the Guptas and the ANC actually who have actually looted our country and used Dubai as a destination to keep their loot. So I believe very strongly that President Cyril Ramaphosa has to show decisive leadership. If he was not party to this, because to be honest with you, personally, I'm not convinced that President Cyril Ramaphosa had no knowledge of the Gupta's looting because remember in December 2014, the then President Zuma put Cyril Ramaphosa in charge of all the SOEs. So and that it was at the height, right in the middle of the Guptas actually looting our country. So I'm really quite convinced of that. President Ramaphosa has got full knowledge of those looting that happened. Firstly, and secondly, and also very important, you remember when the Guptas actually left this country. It was at the time when the ANC was negotiating the removal, the stepping down of Jacob Zuma. It is during that period that the Guptas actually left this country. Is the president aware of what deal was struck with Jacob Zuma to resign? I think those are some of the things that one day he's going to take this country into confidence. But if he does not, fortunate enough, God is always on human side. These old issues will come out because the President Cyril Ramaphosa's silence is very, very worrying about really what happened to this country. Today, in a few hours' time, Status A is going to really be giving us unemployment numbers, and all the indicators are saying the numbers are going to go up. And what has contributed to high unemployment in South Africa has been the corruption of the ANC and over the last 28 years, in particular Eskom. Right now, the businesses are unable to operate because there's not enough electricity in South Africa to run their businesses properly.
Okay, I'm going to take full advantage having you on air this morning, and I'm going to touch on a few other things apart from the Gupta story. I want to look at the possibility of the firing of the public protector. I am going to be looking at the Dr. Kosi Makosi story as well, and a whole host of other issues. Let's just get back to the Gupta brothers. If they are brought back to South Africa and brought to book, do you think that we as South Africans will be able to recoup all of our losses? Because they've taken out trillions and trillions of rands. They have literally crippled our country, and that relates directly to those high unemployment figures that you're alluding to. That alludes directly to the high criminality in our country.
Julie, honestly, one does not really have to really be a rocket scientist to know that you can hide money. But fortunate enough today with forensic investigators working with the international criminal justice system, it is very, very highly possible that we can get our money back. Yes, some of it, I'm sure they've tried to hide it somewhere, but money can be traced. And it depends on the political will and the capacity of our law enforcement agencies to deploy the right type of skills. And one thing for sure, I know South Africa, remember during the days of the Scorpions, we can actually also secure the services of the FBI and the Scotland Yard and other agencies all over the world to assist us in recouping South African money that the Guptas have hidden. Because fortunate enough, money with good forensic accountants and so forth, we can trace it if there is a political will.
Okay, so let's just assume worst case scenario that maybe President Cyril Ramaphosa may or may not bring up the issue with his counterparts in the UAE, and for some reason is unable to get the extradition order on the Gupta brothers. What is Action South Africa going to do about this going forward? Because clearly you, Herman Mashaba, and your party are quite intent on stamping out corruption amongst politicians and in the country.
Look, Julie, the problem, the solution doesn't only lie purely with the Action SA. We're a political party, we're opposition. We are not even represented as yet in Parliament. But what we are doing here, we are conscientizing South Africans, because one thing that ANC managed to do over the last 28 years was to blind South Africans and keep them ignorant. But political parties like us, so we are determined to ensure that we can wake South Africans up. 2024 is around the corner. Let us, as South Africans, vote this criminal organization that has destroyed millions of our lives, young and old. We've got our young people who are unemployed today, who are victims of the drugs being brought into our country. The women in this country are victims of South Africa being the rape capital of the world. We are the murder capital of the world. All of these things are happening because you have a political government that I believe is part of the international criminal syndicate. So we are making sure that South Africans wake up. Let us, in 2024, remove this government, put in a government that we can hold accountable.
Having said everything that you have just expressed now, and that obviously is the thinking of the majority of South Africans in the country, and yet our president is in the UAE promoting think opportunity, think South Africa. Do you think people are going to buy into that, foreign investors?
No, absolutely not. I can tell you that. I'm sure you've got friends in most parts of the world. I've got business people, friends who, it's unfortunate, every time you invite them to visit South Africa, the travel agents will actually discourage them from coming to South Africa, regarding South Africa as a very dangerous place. So I think, and is it unfair for people to really think of South Africa in that light? Absolutely not. You can't blame South Africa. We have to look at ourselves as a country. Is it true when people are saying South Africa is a mega capital of the world? Is it true when people are saying South Africa is a corrupt country in the world? Is it true that South Africa is actually the rape capital of the world? All these things are genuine. We have the highest unemployment rate in the world. Youth unemployment sitting before this morning's announcement already at 74%. So we expect the numbers to really go up. So all these things, unfortunately, you can do whatever you want. You don't have electricity. ESCOM cannot supply electricity to industries. In fact, this morning I was talking to a friend of mine where we ordered some stuff from him. Unfortunately, he's unable to deliver because of there's electricity shortages. So, it's a huge challenge that how can any investor come into a country with all those negative things that I've alluded to. So if you look at South African investment situation over the last 10, 15 years, businesses in this country, they only do what they have to do. They don't really go that extra mile. If you look at how much money left this country over the last 10, 15 years, not just the money, the skills base that's lying all over the world, black and white, that live in this country, going even to an extent of going to education facilities. So it's really very unfortunate. I don't really believe, to be honest with you, that there's anything that the president can achieve. That is why I was calling on him to say, make it effective for South Africa, at least deal with this issue of the Guptas, because that's where you're going to get millions, even trillions back into the country, and then you can bring back these Guptas to come and face the loss of our country.
And if that happens, it will be quite a coup for him, will it not? I mean, imagine that might even ensure his another term for President Cyril Ramaphosa in office. I mean, just imagine how big that would be if he's able to bring the
absolutely. But will President Cyril Ramaphosa do it? As much as I'm raising it, I'm not really confident. Cyril Ramaphosa has made it clear from day one, before even people elected him, that his priority is the unification of a corrupt ANC. It's not South Africa in his priorities. I don't think we are even number 2 or 3. He must be from number 4. His main priority is the unification of the ANC, which is something that is most unlikely. It will never happen because there's only one ANC and there's only one corrupt ANC. Whether it's under Cyril Ramaphosa or Jacob Zuma, there's only one ANC, and there's no way anyone can ever actually unify that organization.
Why is there such a rift within the ANC? And we do know that leading up to the elective conference in December, that rift is going to be that much wider. Is it really about jockeying for favor? It's power position? Is it about all of that? And if things don't go a certain way for a certain politician, do you think that they would then dig out all the dirt on each other? Are we going to be seeing some of that leading up to the elective conference?
Look, I think, one thing I just want to tell your listeners and the broader South African public, if not the world, we grew up and voted for the ANC in 1994 thinking that the ANC is a liberation organization that is there for public service. They have proven beyond any reasonable doubt over the last 28 years that the ANC is not for public service. The ANC is about the ANC stomachs. their leaders. So if there's any South Africans who still believes that ANC is an organization committed to social justice, it's committed to servant leadership, that person must be living somewhere else because to force ANC to be what it is not. ANC is in this business so that they can still state resources and unapologetic about it, because the more we try and really bring these issues to their attention, the more criminal they get.
Your predictions regarding the elective conference in December, what do you see playing out?
Well, I think I'm not a member of the ANC. I've never been a member. I only voted for them twice in 1994 and 1999, and I was fortunate enough. I discovered that criminality quite early in our democratic dispensation. For me, as far as I'm concerned, I don't care what happens with the ANC. I care about saying to South Africans, let us remove this criminal organization out of our political environment and put in a new political system and government that we can hold accountable.
Point taken. We are hearing noises about lifestyle audits that's going to be or have started on certain individuals, and possibly that net is going to be widened, so we are led to believe. Do you think it's going to come to pass? Do you think those lifestyle audits are going to target high-ranking politicians as well, or is it just going to be the ordinary citizen in South Africa?
Well, chances of this happening to ordinary citizens, 99% chance than actually doing a lifestyle audit of ANC cadres. You look at what has happened over the last 28 years, where ANC government has produced billionaires and multimillionaires out of politicians, and people don't go into politics to make money. They go into politics to save. But how many billionaires who are today regarded as business people, billionaires, multi-millionaires, out of politics? So I think if anyone is serious about doing lifestyle audits, that's where they've got to start. But it's not going to happen because under ANC government, because if it does happen, you won't have any ANC member left.
As you can see, we are in a...
Okay, let's look at the issue around the proposed sacking of the public prosecutor. We have heard murmurings that depending, who you align to, but we're hearing things like the reason Ramaphosa wants to get rid of her is because she wants to uncover all his corruption. Your thoughts on the matter?
Well, my view on the current public protector, personally, I've had personal experiences with her getting involved in politics and actually running a Chapter 9 institution. So therefore, I'm one of the South Africans actually quite pleased with her removal, because ever since she's been in office, she's been more of a politician than actually an independent person running a Chapter 9 institution. So the sooner they remove her, the better. And that's something that I personally appreciate.
Dr. Kosi Makosa, a firebrand of a person. Here I was thinking that she is really going to help take Action SA to the next level. What has gone so horribly wrong there?
Yeah, well, it's just really one of those unfortunate cases, Julie, as you indicated. That is what we thought as Action SA when she approached us, and we accepted her in good hands with a full knowledge of her history in various organizations. But we thought, perhaps she was unfairly treated, as she claimed in all her interviews and in our engagement with us as to what happened with those companies. And we thought we'd give her an opportunity. It is really so disappointing, so sad that we discovered for us to be something totally different. And it's really very unfortunate. And luckily, we discovered this early enough and decided to terminate our relationship with her. So as far as Dr. Makosa is concerned with Action SA, it's water under the bridge. She's a former member of our organization. It's something that we regret, but unfortunately things like this happens. So what we are asking South Africans to judge us as to when we encounter cases of this nature, what do? We've demonstrated that we will act decisively and swiftly, and that's exactly what we did. So Dr. Marcos, as far as I'm concerned, it's not even worth actually debating about her. We've given reasons why we terminated a membership and replaced her in the eThekwini municipality. So as far as she's concerned, she was part of our history. She's a former member of Action SA, so it's not really worth actually commenting about her. As I say, we've already communicated the reasons for her dismissal.
And finally, then, your hopes for South Africa going forward. I'd like to end the interview on a positive note. What were that? And every time I speak to a politician or a leader, a business leader, or an academic, I always refer to the war in the Ukraine, because undoubtedly it has ripple effects all around the world. Your thoughts on how it's going to impact on us, or are we already feeling the impact? And then the way forward for us as South Africans.
Julie, I don't know if you're aware, was it last week or the other week, I went to have tea with the ambassador of Ukraine to officially go and convey Action SA's message and solidarity with the people of Ukraine, and said to her that please just bear in mind the ANC government does not represent and reflect the views of some of us in South Africa, and I believe we're a majority. So it's unfortunate the position that the ANC government has taken on Ukraine, because this is not a conflict between Ukraine and Russia. It's an invasion of Russia of Ukraine. There is no. I think it's a deflection. It's misrepresentation of issues to say there's a conflict between Ukraine and Russia. This is an open invasion of Russia of a sovereign state called Ukraine. And we believe that it's unfortunate with the position the South African government has taken. But as you have indicated, this matter is going to have massive negative ramifications for all of us throughout the world. I don't really believe that we want to see people of the world resolving their challenges in such ill manner. Yes, we'll have differences as human beings, but we have to use war to resolve our issues in a manner that you've disrupted the entire nation. I wonder, you can imagine how long it's going to take the Ukrainian people to recover from this, the day when this war can stop. And I believe Russia must take full responsibility for the mayhem that they've actually caused, not only to people of Ukraine, but subjecting all of us in the world, because the images we see every day, they are evil.
Absolutely, absolutely. And finally, your thoughts on South Africa. Can we and will we be able to move forward with the right leadership, the right people in place, and having stamped out corruption, or working at stamping out corruption?
Julie, the reason why I'm in politics, it's something that I never thought one day become a public servant. It's because of our realizing that my country was following the Zimbabwean route. And I realized that if South Africa collapses, Zimbabwe will be like a Sunday school picnic. And I decided, let me use my privileged position to do something about this. And that's why I'm in politics today, as a strong believer that South Africa can be fixed. We are resilient people. We are not going to be fooled and misled by the ANC. That's the reason why I work around the clock to wake South Africans up that please let us remove this ANC, but let's remove them democratically. Let us not ask for the Russians to give us AK-47. We can do it without burning tires and burning our infrastructure. Let's use our democratic constitutional right to remove them. And 2024 is around the corner. Action SA has demonstrated beyond any reasonable doubt that we are the only political party, not only committed to removal of the ANC, but we are capable. Look at what we did. We contested in 6 municipalities. In the 6 municipalities where we contested, we all took the ANC under 50%. What especially the 3 metros in Gauteng, we took them in the early 30s. So this says to us that ANC's history, South Africa is going to be safe in 2024. I'm totally convinced that come 2024, ANC is not going to be part of a multi-party government that will be formed after the elections in 2024.
Lovely positive ending to my interview with you. Mr. Herman Mashaba, Action is a leader. Thank you indeed for your time. God bless. And really lovely talking with you. Go well.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
9:45 news and views right here on Salam Media.